There were hardly any people in the underground passage, so I noticed an elderly, elegant woman with bags in her hands. She stopped before the stairs to rest a bit, so I offered to help. When we came out of the passage, the woman thanked me and, with an awkward smile, asked if I had a little more time to take her home. I had enough time, so I agreed to help her. Sandra, as she introduced herself, actually lived nearby in a high-rise building. Her husband Arthur was waiting for her at home. It turned out that he was blind, so he always met her at a certain time in the courtyard of the house. Then they used to go up together to the 3rd floor, to their apartment. As we reached her building, she and her husband invited me to have some tea with them, and then they told me their story. In Sandra's childhood, her parents often brought her to her grandmother's for vacations. She had many friends there because of her sociable character, and she was always the initiator of many children's games. One summer, the neighbour, Mrs. Gaia, came with many friends to celebrate her birthday and spend a couple of weeks relaxing from city life in nature. One of the guests was Arthur, who was the same age as Sandra. Mrs. Gaia asked Sandra to introduce Arthur to the local children so that he wouldn't get bored. Amazingly, Sandra and Arthur became inseparable for 2 weeks. They found something interesting in each other and would even find time to communicate in a noisy children's company. The other children teased them, calling them bride and groom. After that summer, Arthur didn't return to the village anymore. Sandra finished school and entered a pedagogical college. And then her institution organized a joint New Year's party together with the fire school. It was there that she noticed the tall, dark-haired guy who couldn't take his eyes off her. They got acquainted, and it turned out that his name was Arthur, just like her old childhood friend. After 3 months of dating, he proposed to her. Amazingly, Sandra agreed without hesitation, as if she had been waiting for this her whole life. The meeting with the parents happened simultaneously. The mothers of the bride and groom quickly found a common language. Arthur's mother told the love story of her son, who had met and become friends with a girl named Sandra when he was 8 years old. It seemed like fate that they eventually found each other again, because Sandra also had a similar story with a boy named Arthur. A preserved photo showed a girl and a boy standing holding hands and smiling happily. Everyone recognized themselves in the picture. Sandra and Arthur went on to live happily together for many years. Arthur served in the fire department, while Sandra taught math in school. Their son was already studying at the university when tragedy struck. Arthur injured his eyes while extinguishing a flame and eventually lost his sight completely. However, the tradition of Arthur meeting Sandra at the entranceway at a strictly defined time remains intact. Sandra, wherever she is, tries not to be late. I was drinking tea and enjoying some delicious cookies baked by Sandra, while watching this cute couple gaze lovingly into each other's eyes, and I wondered how Arthur knew that his blind eyes were looking into the eyes of his beloved.